pharmaceutical companies, their whole business is to do the drug discovery, right? And what is behind drugs? It's all chemicals. Chemicals come from natural sources. They also come from synthesis of synthetic material, right? But what happens is it's a big business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Whoever comes first to market with a chemical, which is a component of a drug, useful drug, they win the battle, right? And that's why pharmaceutical industries, Johnson and Johnson, they all have labs where they're using AI itself to create new molecules. But the problem is when you use AI to create these molecules, AI tries many different combinations, right? And it's often trial and error, right? But in that trial and error process, you actually can infringe on an existing compound or existing patent, right? So it's very important to understand whether you are infringing on existing patent or not. That's the legal risk. And our problem is to avoid that legal risk, right? So AI is widely used in the discovery of natural compounds as well as in the synthesis of new compounds. The benefit of AI is the quickness with which we can come up with these compounds and the drugs. But the downside is you can actually potentially infringe on someone else's patents, right? So this is a real problem. In fact, Aidan's dad is pharma R&D, R&D vice president executive at a pharmaceutical labs, right? So that's how he selected this problem. So how do we solve this problem? We use AI itself to solve this problem, right? We monitor the existing patents and we predict, okay, our new compound, is it going to infringe an existing patent? What is the probability of that infringement based on prior litigation cases, right? Then the risk is never 0 or 1. There is always a probability of risk, right? So you assess that probability of risk and then you draft your own patent. That's actually the purpose of Aidan's dad and his company. They invent new compounds and they file patents, but they want to write patents in such a way that it doesn't infringe on the existing patents, right? So there's always risk. Risk is never 0 or 1. It's not black and white. So you need to indemnify that risk and you need to select the right level of legal support for your patent, right? Sometimes it so happens that you take all precautionary measures, all the risk evaluation, but still something comes up, unintended consequence, right? So you need to have explainable AI to actually to prove to arbitrators or in the court that actually your infringement is coincidental. It's unintentional, right? Any AI-based solution has challenges. AI needs lots and lots of data to train. Quality and availability of data is important. Legal language is one of the most complex languages, as we know. So AI needs to be able to work with the legal language. AI is opaque and complex. There are regulatory concerns on data privacy. I cannot go and scrap every database available, right? So scraping is kind of opt-in. The companies need to opt in for giving us data. And the last thing is that AI results in job losses. Right? How do you account for that? That's ethical risk. So this is, Aidan himself came up with this. I gave him some guidance, but he came up with this. What he's doing is I'll show you some examples of data, but he's collecting data by combining from different sources, USPTO, Google, ChemIntelligence, and Potion. And then comes the codification, the embeddings of AI, right? You have compound formulation. You need to convert that into some kind of embedding so that AI can actually start looking at the similarities between the compounds. And once AI is trained to do that, what you have is you have a AI which is capable of generating compounds which are very dissimilar to the existing compounds, and also to check if a hypothesized compound is different from existing compounds or not. That's what his algorithm is. And here he came up with some data. For example, every compound has elements. Compound is nothing but molecule, right? Molecule has different elements, and each element has different number of atoms in that, right? So that's all he's looking at. And he looks at the third column, and he codifies the chemical formula into AI readable format, and then looks at the similarity or dissimilarity. Right? That's all he does. But it's actually doing the work which takes time. And his approach is to augment use AI as an augmentation for humans. Chemists are his first users. His dad manages a bunch of chemists, right? Because his dad is an R&D manager, R&D executive. And then attorneys also want to use it. So he has already conveyed this algorithm and the methodology and the data and the embeddings to the chemists as well as attorneys. So he got their buy-in, and he will, chemists will use this to reduce their time, gain efficiency, and so would the attorneys be, right? He's in first phase right now. He just started 2 months ago, so it's a decent progress for 2 months, where he's developing the AI. And then once he has an algorithm which he can put in the hands of chemists and attorneys, he's going to do that at his dad's company. And then he's going to commercialize that. So that's his plan. He's a senior at, he's a rising senior at Langley High School today. So this is a conference about government, state and local, right? So what can government play role in making AI ethical? What role can government play? Right? We talked about NIST this morning, right? NIST has a risk management framework. Obviously, we are using risk management framework to guide our AI here. USPTO has a guidance. Their guidance is that AI can augment the invention, but AI cannot create the invention, right? That's their guidance. But most importantly, state and localities, they fund various research, and they collect the effectiveness of their funding. And when they evaluate the effectiveness of their funding, this tool can be used to see if the inventions are new or is it kind of copycat inventions, right? So it can be used to evaluate effectiveness. So with that, I'm going to conclude the talk, but want to encourage any questions you may have. Yeah.
A fantastic project, and it's kind of neat because one of the first expert systems from Stanford was spectroscopy. But I just had a background question. What has Aidan had to learn in order to do the project from a technical standpoint? What was his beginning point, and then what has he been learning?
So he was motivated by the problem itself because, you know, he has discussions with his dad. His dad's friend is the patent attorney at the company. So they were discussing this problem. AI is everywhere these days. So they are our neighbor, actually. So Aidan's parents were talking to me, hey, we don't know about anything about AI. Do you think AI is a good tool to solve this problem? I said, yeah, it's a pattern matching problem, right? Embedding, pattern matching. But there is a lot of other work you have to do surrounding AI. You have to collect the data, formulate the problem, get the user buy-in. So that's how I kind of helped him, but that's how his interest was, and that's how he ended up doing this.
Did he know coding beforehand, or not so much?
He knows a little bit of coding, just like, you know, high schooler. I think he has done programming classes, but he is using some of the algorithms, some of the modules we have at Amrita Inc. Software, and he's kind of feeding data into that and natural language processing algorithms we have, and he's using that. It's something, you know, you and I coded, right?
It's a wonderful project.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, an additional question to that. did he or will he consider the validity of what the AI brings back? Because as you mentioned in the presentation, it's a complex field. So if it comes back and says, there's a molecule that has a molecular weight of 1, it's unique.
Right. Those nuances, yes, he will have to navigate as he goes along. Yeah. Hopefully he'll get feedback from the chemist and then he'll modify it.
So go to the experts and say, hey, I've come up with this molecule called hydro something or another. Is this unique or does it already exist?
Right.
And the experts would come back in human form and say yes or no.
Correct. Yeah. That's the feedback to the AI.